Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the MENA Digital Days. My name is Sachin, a Google developer expert. And today's episode, we'll learn about how to build realism or add realism to your augmented reality applications using ARCore Depth API. So without further ado, let's get started. So a brief introduction about myself. I'm a Google developer expert. I'm also the CTO of a company called Tuplo Life, which is a connected healthcare company based out of Dallas, Texas. I also head the Google developer groups in Doha. And if you would like to connect with me in social media channels, my Twitter handle is there. And also check out my Medium blog post where I do write a lot of tech articles. And for everyone who's joining us live, once again, I would like to thank you all for joining us today. It's going to be a fun session. And as much as possible, what we will try and do is to kind of keep this as interactive as possible. That's why we have these live sessions. And for those who would actually like to know further and how you can actually follow step-by-step tutorials, I have my own YouTube channel, which is called Tech with Such. And if you're actually coming here for the very first time, make sure to subscribe to the channel as well as click on that notification bell icon so that you don't miss on any episodes that's happening in the Google MENA Digital Days. So as I mentioned, my channel is called Tech with Such. I try and deliver high quality tech content as well as tutorials, step-by-step tutorials, so that if a beginner is actually getting started, he would exactly know what are the processes involved, how to set it up, and how to build applications. So the channel is all about different aspects. So if you are actually looking to build voice assistants, machine learning applications, here, for example, augmented reality applications and so on, do check out the channel. And the link is provided here. And the link will also be provided in the comment section so that you can click on it and subscribe to the channel. I'm more than excited to have all of you on board and looking forward to actually build today a multi-platform augmented reality application from scratch. So this is what is going to happen right now. We'll actually understand the foundations of augmented reality. We'll actually build an augmented reality application in this session. And at the same time, we'll also cover how to actually add depth using the Depth API, how we can actually make our augmented reality applications a little more realistic. So I can see that we have live comments coming down, and I'm actually going through that as well. We do have a moderator who's actually moderating the entire comments in Arabic as well. So feel free to comment in both English and Arabic, and we have you covered. So from augmented reality, I would basically like to throw this upon the live people who have joined us as well. What do you think is augmented reality? And let me know in the comments what you think are some of the really useful use cases of augmented reality. And let me personally explain why I'm so excited about augmented reality as such as a field, because I feel the future is actually going to be a mixture of augmented reality, AI, machine learning, cloud, mobile, all combined together is what will have a seamless experience. So our future is going to be, I predict that the future is actually headed there. I might be wrong, but let me know your thoughts in the comments. So coming back to augmented reality. So AR is an interactive experience of a real world environment where the objects that reside in the real world are enhanced by computer generated information. So in this case, as you can see on the right, so this was like a demo that I did during one of the earlier tutorials as well. So here you can see like I have like an animated character sitting on a real world object. So this chair over here that you see is actually a real world object. Plus, you can actually see the character sitting on the chair. On the other side, you can see that we have plane detection going on. So you see these dots. So those are basically different planes that the camera was able to identify. And wherever you want to actually place your object, you can do that. So typically, if you actually look at it, a simple augmented reality experience is where you have some computer generated information in your physical space or real world environment, right? It can be in the form of visual, auditory, or haptic. So very soon you'll also get to see a lot of these terms called mixed reality, which is actually highly used everywhere. Okay, so mixed reality is the merging of real and virtual worlds to produce new environments and visualizations where physical and digital objects coexist and interact in real time. So it's a step further than augmented reality. Augmented reality, you're just having information or some characters in your real world. Mixed reality is where the information would actually play, or the information would actually immerse into your real world environment. So let's say you're reading a news. Instead of actually reading it through your phone, you wanted to actually have it on your wall, or you have your entire presentation that you're doing displayed across different parts of your room. That's more of mixed reality, because you're mixing the different the computer generated information as well as your real world environment data together and merging those things together. And then when we think about how we can actually get started with building AR applications, the first thing that comes to mind is ARCore. So ARCore is Google's platform for building augmented reality experiences. So using different APIs, ARCore enables your phone. Okay, so your simple phone over here with ARCore enabled applications can sense the environment. And we'll actually have a lot of live demos today. So hopefully that goes well. And it will also understand the world and interact with the information. So it's a small room over here. We have some objects that's on the floor as well as beside us. And let's see how we would kind of interact with those objects today, and how our environment is sensed, how it is being tracked, and how we can add information, computer generated information or animated objects into our real world environment. So some of these APIs are accessible across both Android and iOS to enable shared AR experiences. So if you're over here, if you're a mobile developer or mobile application developer, if you think, okay, our core is very specific to Android, let me just work on that. Not really. You can actually use this as APIs for building both. And I will also show you techniques and tools and frameworks within this session on how you can actually build this for both Android as well as iOS. So let's look at some of the core concepts, right? So we have motion tracking, environment understanding, and light estimation. So these are just a few to actually name in terms of some of the core concepts behind ARCore. Now, over here, as you can see, we have motion tracking, which basically means allows the phone to understand and track its position relative to the world. So as you're using your phone and moving along, your camera, which is actually feeding in information, your phone will also give certain information that can understand and track the position relative to the world. So as you move and track your camera or span your camera, it can understand where exactly each things were. So the reason why it is let's take a simple example and why augmented reality is still an upcoming field and what are the challenges in it. So for us as humans, when we have a field of view, we have a 180-degree field of view. Let's assume if that's the case. And if, as and when we are spanning our environment, we are able to automatically identify depth. We are able to identify different objects in different place, and we are tuned to that. But for cameras, especially for mobile cameras, it's all based on pixels. And it's very important and at the same time very challenging, to be quite honest, to basically understand some of these simple concepts that we as humans can easily understand, but very hard for computers to do. And that's where the current advancement in vision and computation has come a long way. And we are getting to a place where computers and your mobile phones can basically understand and visualize information that's around you. So with that being said, your camera, when it is turned on, can actually see a specific field of view, right? But it doesn't know what's beyond that. And in that case, what happens is when you're building these AR applications, when I used to work with AR applications long back, it was always difficult because when you place an object there, and as you move your camera away from it, your object doesn't stay in that specific place because it will just try to be within the camera view. But right now, once you place an object in a specific view, you move your camera away from it, and when you come back to that specific place, you will still find that object available there. And we will see those demos today. So all of this is possible with a lot of vision and computation, and with APIs like the ARCore, motion tracking. And the next thing is environmental understanding. So it allows the phone to detect size and location of all types of surfaces. So again, this is a very important concept because we will actually learn how to do these in real time today, because the ability for your application to understand depth as well as surfaces. So whether it's a horizontal surface, this table we have right here, it needs to understand that it's a horizontal surface. Then if we have a vertical shaped box or pillar or something, it needs to understand that, okay, I need to detect that specific plane. And then light estimation. So this was another cool feature by ARCore is, let's say you place an object, and for people who have already learned how to build simple applications before, AR applications before, you would have seen that you can actually see how you can build a character into your environment, but as the light conditions changes, your character will still remain like that animated bright character. So it's very important that we actually add as much as realism into our environment and blend our objects within our real environment. So in that case, light estimation plays a major role. So it allows the phone to estimate the environment's current lighting conditions. So with that, we move to motion tracking. So motion tracking allows the phone to understand and track its position relative to the object. So as I said, as you move your phone, it's able to identify and track its position relative to the world. And this was what I was talking about, environmental understanding, because until and unless the application understands that, okay, that I have detected a plane, when you place a character, that character can be just below the surface or on top of the screen, or just like a sticker that will superimpose on top of your camera. So that doesn't actually make it look real, right? So this environmental understanding feature, where you're detecting horizontal, vertical, and angled surfaces, actually helps you build objects on top of these surfaces. And then finally, we come to the ARCore Depth API. So again, Depth API is very new. It was recently made public. So do check it out. We'll have a live session today covering how we can actually do a part of the Depth API example as well. And in this case, you can see what is Depth API. So Depth API uses Depth API supported devices, RGB. So again, ARCore right now supports certain devices that has depth sensing capabilities. So I have here a Pixel 4 XL. And again, they have listed the list of phones that supports Depth API. And again, as more and more advancements are being done, I'm sure that all the phones that comes out tomorrow with a lot of computational capabilities would automatically handle these kind of scenarios. You can then use the information provided by a depth map to make virtual objects accurately appear in front or behind real world objects. So what it basically means is this. Now that on the picture that you see over here, image, we have an Android figure. So this was without the Depth API. As you can see, it just is there. And even when you span out, this image will just show like this. But in reality, if let's say if we placed a box beside this table, and when we walk away, we wouldn't see the entire box because this table would be covering part of it, right? So for phones or AR applications to understand this, that's where the depth camera as well as the depth API comes into play. Okay, so if you have any questions regarding some of these concepts, do leave your questions in the comments and we'll be more than happy to talk about it. So with the Depth API, there's few different concepts here. So the next one is depth maps. So the Depth API uses depth from motion algorithm to create depth maps. So what this means is it takes like a lot of these images together and stitches them and then runs an algorithm to understand that, okay, these are the areas that basically have, certain depth. So you can see like an infrared kind of a image on the right hand side, basically showcasing the depth areas. Okay, and finally, ensuring accurate depth reading. So in ARCore, depth is provided for scenes between 0 and 8 meters. Optimal depth accuracy is achieved between 0.5 meters and 5 meters from the camera. So these are just specifics so that you understand while building your applications. But in the absence of an active depth sensor, so let's say that if your phone is not having a depth sensor, RGB color information is used to perform the depth estimation task. Okay, so as you can see in the image on the right hand side, the RGB color information is used to perform the depth estimation task. Again, this is a combination of all of this. Combination of all of this actually makes this whole process seamless. So with that being said, we had 20 minutes of just going through some of these concepts. If someone out there doesn't understand some of these concepts, just let me know in the comments. But in the meanwhile, let's actually go ahead and start building. So the best way, if you have followed my previous sessions, we always do something at the end of the session. So let's go ahead and build. I will actually show you some of the tools and requirements that you actually need to build augmented reality applications. Okay, and as a beginner, there are certain things that you need to follow so that you don't actually get into a lot of compilation errors and a lot of those things. And probably we'll get a chance to see some of those today as well. Okay, so with that being said, let me switch to okay, so what I just launched here right now is called Unity Hub. Okay, and I'll tell you the reason what Unity Hub is all about. So Unity Hub is a tool by Unity, and if you're asking me what is Unity, Unity is a game engine where you actually build or design and build games. So all those mobile games or PC games that you see out there, they're all based out of Unity. And again, there are other game engines that's available, but here Unity, you can actually build games, mobile applications. You can actually build it for multiple platforms. Here, as you can see, you see here we have Android, WebGL, Windows, Mac. We have different options for that. You can actually build it for different. So the idea is you build once and you kind of target your platform for different platforms. So iOS, Android, if you want Windows or Mac, you can do that as well. So I have one of the comments, I need to start learning VR. I'm iOS developer, but I will use VR in iOS and Android. So if you can recommend any resources for me to start with. So Ahmed, this is a question from Ahmed, basically asking how to get started in VR. I would highly recommend that you start with Unity. Ahmed, there are a lot of resources out there. Unity already has built-in frameworks to actually help you out in the process. And whatever we are kind of building, the concepts shown over here, you can actually use the same concepts to build in VR. And I can actually tell you how that's done as well. Okay, so here you can see that Unity Hub is actually a tool by Unity, and the first step that you do is download Unity Hub. And the reason why I do that, you can actually download Unity editor separately. So Unity editor is the actual editor where you actually go and build applications. But with the Unity Hub, you can actually go and install different versions of Unity. Okay, so the reason why we do this is Unity comes up with different versions of Unity on a regular basis. Each version will have its own uh, features and changes. So what happens is when you build one project and when you try running it on the latest versions, it might not work because the package or the script would have changed. So it's very important that you actually stick to your current package. And as long as that's, you can see like this here, it's showing like this is the latest release, and these are like the new releases which are in preview. Okay, so you always have this option. So what I would highly recommend is first you go and install Unity here. Okay, so go to download Unity Hub, step 1. Step 2, come here, click on install, add whichever the version of Unity that you want. So here you can see that right now the current latest version is the most stable release is 2019.4.8 F1, and the 2020 version is still like in preview. It's not the stable release yet. Okay, but you can still try it out. So here I have few versions that I have already installed. Once you install that, what's important is if you go here, click on add modules. And I think for you guys to see this clearly, let's actually make this full screen. Okay, better. So yes, so with this module that you are seeing over here, we can actually go ahead and download this one. So if you're building for Android, make sure you download the platform, Android build support, as well as the necessary dependencies. So here, the Android SDK and NDK, and as well as the JDK. All of this will be downloaded. So just make sure that you check all these 3 boxes and then download it. So since I've already done that, you can see that, I'm already into the platform. That's already installed. So again, the beauty of Unity is it's just not for one platform. You have multiple platforms as well. So since we are building AR applications for Android and iOS, And since this is Windows, I've used Android over here. And if you guys are on Mac, make sure that you can actually build for both as well, both Android as well as iOS. And again, you'll have your own dependencies that you can install over there. So that's step 2. So the first step was to install Unity. Second step is to install the most stable release of Unity, and make sure that when you're working with different APIs, check the APIs that they are built on. Okay, so in that case, you'll get to have a clear idea of, okay, this is the API that this specific API is built on. So let me actually work on that. So the documentation actually comes a long way. So the next one is you go to projects. Okay, you can always go and click on like new project, click on this drop down, choose a project of your choice, like the latest one or the most stable release. You can actually do that. So since I have the project already opened, I'll just go and click on this. And all of these steps that we are doing right now and in detail will already be there in my YouTube channel. So do check it out. There is a video on building multi-platform AR applications. So all of these steps, step by step, is actually shown there. So for the purpose of time, we are actually going ahead with this. So here you can see that we have the AR Foundation sample master. So let me actually explain some of these concepts. So as you can see, we have Unity, which is a game engine for building games, applications, VR, AR, everything is over here. So for people who's actually looking for different solutions, you actually can go through some of these and learn that. And the next one that I would say is you can also check out So this is the sample that I want you guys to download, which is the Unity's AR Foundation sample. So again, you would actually think that, okay, we talked about ARCore, but here we are going into AR Foundation. What's this concept? So AR Foundation is again a platform or a framework where you can actually build augmented reality applications and mixed reality applications for different platforms. So for Android, iOS, Magic Leap. So you have support for different platforms. So you have to build once here, and based on different platforms, you can actually use their APIs. And AR Foundation is basically like a framework which actually takes in all of these core APIs from ARCore from Android, ARKit from iOS, and kinds of creates a simple interface for you to use using AR Foundation, which behind the scenes would actually be using some of these core APIs. So that's what AR Foundation is all about. Okay. So you can go ahead and download this zip file from here, and I've already loaded this over here. So let me just go and click on this. How can I make, so I have another question. So let's go through with that. How can I make applications work in any environment OS? So again, download the necessary modules or packages that you need. Okay, and I hope that you guys are seeing my editor over here. Okay, so download any packages or modules that you see. So in the previous window that I showed you, we downloaded packages for Android. So if you're looking for other operating systems, you can actually do that as well. Again, each of these different OS has different settings that you need to do. So for example, once we are here, once you open Unity, there's few things that you would see. Don't get intimidated by this, and this is one of the reasons why I actually wanted to build something so that you exactly understand the concepts. So here you have all the tools that you need to basically manipulate your scene. So you see over here we have the scene view, we have the game view. So the game view is basically renders what's actually happening in the scene, or what your camera would actually render. Okay. So the asset store is basically you can actually go and buy or download different 3D models and directly import it into your project. So speaking of project, on the left side corner, we have the project window where all your assets are being stored. So this is where all your assets are being displayed. Again, you can click on each of these assets and understand what's available for you quickly. Then moving on to the right hand side, we have the inspector. So think about inspector as like a property window. So each object that I click on the left side in the hierarchy, you can see that it will show you a different properties associated with that. Okay, so I hope it's just clear for you to actually get started. The whole concept is this: again, using your different tools that you have, you can click on each of these, double click on this to center it, and go to that specific places. So here you can see there's a direction light, AR, everything that you see over here, we for easy understanding. And you can actually go and build or place different objects within the view and kind of build applications just like that. So for, let's say, one of the questions that we had was, how can I get started in VR? It's simple, Ahmed. You use the same concept, the same Unity editor, but instead of augmented reality application, you're building virtual reality applications. So in terms of virtual reality, so in that case, you can actually go out and build environments like mountains and dragons and build a game around it, or you can actually have videos or any kind of interaction that you want. You can actually build in this space and simulate it. And Unity also comes in with inbuilt VR support as well, so which will actually make it very easy for you. So you only have to design your scene once, and when the VR framework is added, it will automatically split your screen and make sure that all of that is automatically handled in the right way. So coming back to AR, information over here is because we find something, then we place the object. So with that being said, few things that you need to take care before you actually start building out this. On the top, you have window. You go to package manager, click on that. Okay, and click on all packages. If you don't see any information over here, click on all packages. So this is all the packages that have as part of Unity. So the most important thing that you need to actually search for is search for XR. Okay, and you need to download these versions. So AR Foundation, AR Subsystems, ARCore. If you're on iOS, make sure that you download these two as well for AR. And you also have the XR plugin management. You can actually install these as well. Onto your so our camera will detect whether it's a vertical or a horizontal surface. It will basically add when we detect that, when we tap on the screen, it will this script will basically add whatever the project or whatever the 3D model that we want to place it there. It will automatically add it. So the way how you do that is, let me actually show you a simple thing. It's as easy as clicking on this one, and I'm gonna simply place, just to begin with, let me just place a cube. Okay, so a simple cube here. I'm gonna save the project. The next thing that I need to do is how do I run it on my phone? So we'll have to run this on our phone right now. So we go to File, Build Settings. Now, when you come to Build Settings, you get to see that you have different platforms over here. You can always make sure that you can just download Android alone if you're just building for Android. So click on Android and make sure that if by default it is not clicked, you'll have a button called Switch Platform. When you do that, it will make sure that all the Android packages and dependencies are automatically loaded for this project. But in this case, as you can see that I've already selected Android. Click on Player Settings. So for all the mobile application developers out there, they might think, how can I add my icon, logo? What can I give the name as, and all of those things. So you have all of those options shown directly over here. So you can give the company name, product name, whatever you want over here. And you can actually give the version number. The icons you can actually place here. For different resolution, you can choose that the splash screen, if you want a splash screen instead of the default Unity splash screen, you can do that over here as well. And some of the important things that you need to do is under other settings, make sure multi-threaded rendering is turned off. Okay, and also make sure that the minimum API level for Android is around Android 7.0. Okay, so with that being said, we have 10 minutes left. Let's actually go through this project quickly. So I'm gonna connect my Android phone using a USB cable. My phone is detected, and I'm just gonna do build and run. And again, under the build settings, you need to choose which scene that you're gonna build. So here, the scene that I've chosen is simple AR. So as you can see here, select that. So you can see, you can actually select multiple scenes. Again, this is a concept if you want to navigate from one screen to another or one scene to another. Since you're building AR applications, it's all gonna be in one scene. So I'm just gonna choose one and add it, and then I'm gonna hit build and run. So this would automatically compile the application, build all the necessary packages, and finally build an APK for you. Right? So once this is done, let's actually go ahead and see how this is reflected directly on this on the phone. So let's just wait for the application to load. And hopefully I can actually show a live view of my phone as well, so that you exactly see how you can actually build. So I have another question: are there any websites for free assets from Carbon? So Carbon, there are a lot of websites where you can actually get free 3D models. Unity has itself a store called the Unity Asset Store. So you can actually go and download free 3D models. And I'll actually show you how I've done one of those models as well. So I have the thing ready right now. So it's loaded onto my phone. And I'm gonna make sure that you guys can see my okay. I'm gonna expand this. Okay, so as you can see, this is my setup. Okay, so as I move my camera, you can actually see how it's able to identify different planes. So it has identified here that, the white dots that you see over here, it has identified that that's a plane, a horizontal plane. And then as I move my camera across, You can see how it's able to identify different planes on, for example, that couch over here. Then you can also see that how the point clouds are automatically identifying the information. So here, let me actually go and play something. So I've just placed a simple cube. Uh, I've just placed a simple cube, as you can see. So it's as simple as that. Let's come back into Unity. Okay, so I hope that you guys saw a simple cube over there, right? So the next thing is to actually go ahead and see plane occlusion. So I'm just gonna choose this scene. Again, if you actually want to see where that is, you go to scenes, you go to plane occlusion, okay, and this is the scene that you have. So over here, the important thing to notice is this uses the occlusion manager, okay, and some of these are used for actually the ARCore depth sensing. And if you actually download the latest one, the packages, you would actually see those settings directly in uh, this specific, the AR occlusion manager as well. Okay. So with that being said, let's go ahead and run this sample. So as you can see, whichever the scene that I'm choosing, it will automatically compile that specific scene and load that onto my phone. And since we are running short of time, some of the other things that I would like you guys to do is, the definition is provided in the slides. I will do a video. So hope you guys are able to see, to actually understand the concept. And as I move down, you can also see that the bottom layer is also detected. Now the idea about depth is when you place a specific object here, so I place it in the ground, and as I come up, you can see that that's not visible, right? So we have the objects that we place down, but as we come up, you can see that that's not visible anymore. So this is some of the concepts of adding depth as well as using the ARCore API. So you can actually do occlusion. So with this, what happens is when you have critical information that you want to show and make your objects more lifelike, you can actually go and do that using this API. And the next one that I can also show you is you can actually go and download Depth Lab from Unity. Okay, so I'll show you some of these concepts. So let me actually. Okay. So as I move my phone, you can actually see that how the depth sensor and API is able to identify the different surfaces. Right? So that's the 3D cursor. So this one, the depth sensor, so the depth map. You can also use material wrap for different kinds of things over here. So you can see I'm adding different information. This one, colors, and depending on the wall, you can see that it's able to identify that that's a wall, and the splashes remain in that specific order. Okay, and finally, we have the avatar. So I can actually go and place the object robot there. If I want to move the robot to a different place, I can move him. And as the marker moves, you can actually see how the robot moves as well. So it's actually quite a small place for you to actually see the whole thing. But again, I hope you guys actually got the concept behind how ARCore Depth API works. You can actually go ahead and build beautiful applications. With that, I think we have come to the end of our session. So few things to note. All the information again is mentioned in the slide. So all the information that you need to actually get started is also available in this video. Okay. So this is the full comprehensive video talking about different concepts, even showing you how to actually use AR Foundation to have augmented faces. And last thing, two more important things. Make sure that you click on you for us to actually provide quality for you to actually assistants or chatbots and directly use the Google Assistant to try that out. With that being said, my name is Sachin, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day and hope this session was useful. And thanks a lot for everyone who's joined us live today. Thank you. Take care. Stay safe.